Are you decisive? Do you believe in making decisions quickly and easily? When I say quickly, I'm not talking about rushing or doing things in a hurry. I'm talking about making decisions with confidence, effortlessly, without stress, before, during, and afterwards. Because what could be more stressful than sheer indecision? Stay with me for the next couple of minutes. This won't take long. I'm going to give you a bunch of choices and you choose what you prefer. And don't worry or think too deeply about each choice because this is not a test. Even if it was, you couldn't fail it because there are no wrong answers. So relax and you might even have fun. Are you ready? Let's go. Do you believe in choosing what you love, or do you believe in sacrificing what you love and choosing what you don't love instead? Do you believe in being decisive, or do you believe in striving to be perfectly objective, painstakingly weighing the pros against the cons in order to avoid buyer's remorse and regret in general? Do you believe in the possibilities, or do you believe in the obstacles that stand in their way? Do you believe in a fun and easy life, a life that is fun and easy for you today, right now? Or do you believe in working hard for years and years and years in order to earn that fun and easy life sometime in the future? Do you believe in your talent and abilities, or do you believe in your lack of talent and abilities? Do you believe in yourself and your own fabulous awesomeness without a shred of evidence to prove it? Or do you believe in being humble and enumerating your flaws and failures? Do you believe in infinite abundance, or do you believe in fighting and competing over limited resources? Do you believe in eternity, or do you believe in the inevitable end of all things? Do you believe in being blissfully, madly in love, or do you believe in sorta, kinda, maybe, occasionally not hating someone? Do you believe in freedom, beauty, truth, and love, or do you believe in bondage, enslavement, and imprisonment, ugliness, deception, fake news, falsehood, and hatred? Do you believe in hope, or do you believe in fear and despair? Do you believe in believing, in having faith, or do you believe in disbelieving, in disproving, debunking, and proving things wrong in the name of science and logic and reason so that you might avoid being naive, foolish, and heaven forbid, delusional? What do you believe in? Because you do believe in something, and the more you believe in it, the more you believe in it. The more you believe in something, the more you believe in it. Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? The more you imagine something, the more you imagine it. The more you imagine something, the more power it has over you. I once knew a girl who believed in perfect eyebrows of all things. That was her thing. And I have to say, her eyebrows were indeed fabulous. She took great care of them, and when she didn't have a mirror handy, she would ask me how her eyebrows looked. Her eyebrows looked fantastic to me, and I always told her so because it was true. Sometimes she shared her eyebrow philosophy with me. I didn't really get it, but it was clear to me that this was something that mattered to her, and I never really judged it. It was not something that concerned me, but I could tell that it was important to her. She cared about having beautiful eyebrows. She was very clear and very particular in her own mind of how she preferred her eyebrows to look. Something about symmetry and the precise angle of the arch. She noticed things I did not, and whatever her thought process might have been, her eyebrows did indeed always look perfect. Although, to be honest, I'm not sure I would have noticed them if she hadn't mentioned them to me and if we hadn't had those conversations, if you know what I mean. The point is, the more you believe in and imagine something, the more you create it and bring it into being. Things don't just happen. You create them, you bring them about. And this isn't an accusation of wrongdoing on your part. This is a revelation of your infinite creative potential. It is a revelation, something to revel and delight in. You get to create things that matter and have value to you, whether it's perfect eyebrows or something else entirely. Do you enjoy creating things? Do you think of yourself as creative? Or are you afraid to create things because you're afraid of things? Things like failure. Fear is a belief. Fear is an idea that you believe in or not. Faith is a belief. Faith is an idea that you believe in or not. They say faith moves mountains. So does fear. The difference between faith in good things and fear of bad things is that faith feels really, really good and fear feels really, really bad. If you are going to move mountains, you might as well move them with an attitude of faith rather than in an attitude of fear, wouldn't you? There are no wrong choices. The question is, what do you prefer and how willing are you to choose what you prefer consistently again and again and again over the things you don't prefer? What you believe in has power. What you believe in attracts more of it to you by your attention to it, by your imagining it. So if something displeases you, disarm it by removing your attention from it. Stop feeding it your time and attention. Time and attention are resources, and with the time and attention you free up by no longer paying attention to unpleasant thoughts, empower yourself by believing in and imagining the things that do please you. Believe in things that please you. Believe in things that please you. Believe in what pleases you, what is pleasing to you, not pleasing to someone else, not what is pleasing to your family, your friends, other people in your life, but to you. There is only one person in the entire universe who knows, one person in the entire universe who can ever know what is pleasing to you. And that person is you. Not you yesterday or 5 minutes ago either, but you right now in this moment, the moment of acknowledging what it is you do or don't prefer. It is only ever you and nobody else. And if this scares you, if believing in and knowing what pleases you feels like a responsibility rather than something fun and incredibly exciting, then that in itself is something you are choosing to believe in. If you feel scared and obligated rather than comforted and excited, then you are choosing to believe in fear and responsibility over fun and excitement. That isn't wrong. That doesn't make you a bad person, but is it what you prefer? There is no right or wrong. There is only what you prefer and what you don't prefer. The more you prefer, the more you prefer, and the more there is to prefer, the more opportunities there are for you to choose what you do prefer. Opportunities to choose what you prefer are discovered and created by you, by your paying attention to those things you prefer, rather than what you don't prefer. When you pay attention to what you prefer rather than what you don't prefer, you practice preferring. Preferring is a practice. Preferring is an art. The more you practice preferring, the better you get at choosing what you prefer. And the better you get at choosing what you prefer, the more you fill your life with the things that you prefer. And the more and more evident it becomes both to you and others that you love your life. And you don't have to prove it because you are not pretending. You are simply being yourself. You are being who you really are. And who you really are is someone who easily chooses what she prefers. Someone who loves everything she chooses because she is good at choosing what she prefers, having practiced it a lot. You choose what you prefer, not because what you prefer happens to be available to you, although it does happen to be available to you, whether you are aware of it or not. What you prefer is always available to you, but that is not why you choose what you prefer. Your choosing of the things you prefer does not depend on the availability or not of the things you prefer. You choose the things you prefer because you are a chooser of things you prefer. That is who you are. That is the real reason that you ever choose anything. So if the thought, my life sucks, crosses your mind, you don't have to choose to then list all of the reasons, all of the ways in which your life sucks, because you know what you prefer, which is a life that doesn't suck, or at least a life that sucks less than the one you're living now, even if you have no idea how to make a less sucky life your reality, right? You can choose a less sucky life, even if it seems impossible for you, even if a less sucky life doesn't seem to be an option. I repeat, you can choose a less sucky life, even if you feel like you have no choice but to be stuck with the sucky life you currently live. You choose a less sucky life in the moment of preferring it. You choose a less sucky life by preferring it. Preferring is a practice. Preferring is an art. Remember? Well, how do you prefer something that doesn't seem to be in the cards, the hand you've been dealt in life? How do you prefer something that doesn't seem available, something that doesn't seem to be an option for you? How? How do you do it? By imagining it, because that's what preferring is. The moment you prefer something, you are imagining it. You are holding some idea of it in your mind, even if it's just a vague idea at first. Imagine a less sucky life. That might remind you of the details of how much your life sucks, which is perfectly all right, because the details of how much your life sucks is fodder for your imagination. Maybe one detail happens to be that your faucet is constantly dripping. You know instantly what you prefer, even if you don't know how to fix the faucet, don't you? What you prefer is a faucet that doesn't drip, right? Boom, you just did it. You just chose what you prefer. You practiced what you prefer. It's that simple. It's that easy. And you can do that for all areas of your life. Don't worry about what it's going to take to fix everything that sucks. Just imagine what it's going to look and feel like when it's all fixed. The more clearly and vividly you can imagine, the better. If this exercise feels like a stupid waste of time, if it feels like pure escapism without any practical use, then stop doing it because it's not working for you. You will know it's working for you when the practice of preferring, and by that I mean the practice of imagining, actually feels good without you having to pretend, without it feeling like homework, like something you have to do. Imagining what you prefer isn't something you have to do. It's something you get to do because you are a preferer, a chooser of things that you prefer. That is who you are. If that is who you are, then choosing the things you prefer is fun and easy for you, and you enjoy doing it. You love doing it because you love everything you prefer, and the things you prefer please you and excite you. That's why you want to choose them to begin with. Even just the thought of them in your imagination pleases and excites you. And that is why this exercise of daydreaming, of imagining what you prefer, doesn't feel like homework if you're actually doing it, instead of feeling annoyed about what a waste of time and how impractical and unrealistic it is. Creating and envisioning what you truly love is not hard work. It is not difficult. It is fun and empowering. And not only is it fun and empowering, it is easy, and it gets easier and easier the more you do it, the more you practice. And since we're on the topic, I can't not say what I'm about to say, which is this. If you're going to imagine anything, if you're going to exercise some creativity, and if imagining and exercising creativity is something that is fun and easy for you because you are a chooser of things you prefer, regardless of whether or not you feel those things are currently available for you to choose, which they are, as we've hopefully already established. If you're going to imagine anything, then why limit yourself to imagining a less sucky life? Why not create something awesome? If all it takes to create something is to imagine it, then why stop at something that is just less sucky than what you have now? You are a preferer, a chooser of what you prefer. What you prefer pleases you, comforts you, excites you. What you prefer is awesome. What you prefer is not just something that isn't as sucky as the things that suck. It isn't just something that sucks less. What you prefer is something amazing, something fabulous, even if you have no idea what that thing actually is. Yes, even if you have no idea what that thing is. What you prefer always starts with an idea, a feeling, something you can't even see, hear, smell, taste, or touch, something for which you have not one shred of evidence. You know it when you see it. You know it when you see it, not because you see it. You know it when you see it because you recognize it as something familiar to you, despite never having seen, heard, smelled, tasted, or touched it before. It's familiar to you because you have practiced the feeling of it by imagining it. You're good at it too because that is who you really are, a chooser of things you prefer. It's how you know you love something, even if it's your first time seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, or touching it. It's how you fall in love at first sight. Love at first sight is a very real thing. This isn't about the rightness or wrongness of it. It's about the fact that it exists. Love at first sight exists. It's something that happens. You don't need proof. You don't need evidence that you love something, even if it's something you've encountered for the very first time. You know you love something because you are the one who loves it, and you know what it feels like to love something, to really, 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 really love something, to love it so much that it even makes you wild. You go out of your mind for the things you really, really love, don't you? You do not need proof or evidence in order to be who you are, which is a chooser of the things you prefer. You do not need proof or evidence. You do not need a certificate or qualification in order to imagine and create. Imagining and creating comes naturally to you because that is who you are. Your practice of choosing what you prefer makes you creative and imaginative. You do not have to see, hear, smell, taste, or touch something in order to believe in it. If you could already see, hear, smell, taste, or touch it, you wouldn't need to believe in it anyway. You would simply observe it, right? You would simply see, hear, smell, taste, and touch it and call it a day. Nothing wrong with that. Observing is fun in its own right, but there is equal, if not more fun to be had than merely observing things that can already be seen, heard, smelled, tasted, and touched. There is infinite fun to be had in creating and imagining what does not yet have physical form. You create what you prefer simply by preferring it, by imagining it, by believing in it. You create it in the moment of imagining it. And yes, that means it happens instantly. Creation happens in an instant, just like conception happens in the womb in an instant. Logic, being reasonable, and being practical are not required. You create opportunities to choose what you prefer. They reveal themselves to you, and choosing what you prefer feels easy. Feels natural, like the next logical step to you. Making decisions and choosing what you prefer is so easy and effortless and obvious that afterwards you don't even remember making the decisions. Just like you don't remember what you chose to have for dinner last Thursday. You know you must have had something good to eat, something that seemed like a good idea at the time, but you can't for the life of you remember what it is you actually ate because it doesn't matter afterwards. Nothing ever matters afterwards. What matters is now. What do you prefer now? What do you want to choose right now? What step feels like a no-brainer for you to take right now? Not because you are under some sort of obligation, not because of a lack of better options, but because it feels like a hell yes right now, and it feels like such a good idea that you can't not choose it no matter what anyone else thinks. Maybe you imagine a faucet that doesn't drip. You imagine a beautiful new faucet. Even if you're so broke you can't afford a plumber and you have no idea how to fix it yourself. Doesn't matter. You prefer a beautiful new faucet because the idea of it comforts and pleases you. No other reason or explanation is necessary. You like what you like because you like it. You don't have to know how you will get a working faucet. You don't have to know how to fix the one you have and get it to work either. Opportunities to choose that beautiful new faucet will come to you as long as you continue to imagine that beautiful new faucet. Think of the satisfaction of clean water running from your beautiful new faucet. Your beautiful new faucet that works perfectly. Think of the satisfaction of turning it cleanly, securely off. You don't even have to talk about it to anyone else. In fact, it's probably better if you don't, especially if those conversations are likely to trigger your awareness that your existing faucet is leaky, that you are broke, and that you have no idea how to fix it, none of which feels particularly good and which defeats the entire purpose of the exercise, which is to imagine what you prefer rather than what you do not prefer. Opportunities to choose that beautiful new faucet will come to you in ways you don't expect. Reason and logic and practicality have nothing to do with it, although in hindsight, it will weirdly make sense. Maybe someone from work happens to be in the area, gets caught in a sudden downpour, and comes pounding on your door to ask a favor, like borrowing your phone charger because she left hers at home and now she's stuck in the rain, which is why she sort of barged in on you without calling ahead. She couldn't call because her battery was completely dead. If she could call, she would have called her husband to come and get her, which she can now do thanks to you and your trusty charger. Her husband comes to fetch her and they are both so thankful to you. Whoop-de-doo. Honestly, in that moment, maybe you secretly can't wait for them to hurry up and leave so that you can mop the floor, which they've dripped rainwater all over. But that's when the husband happens to notice your leaky faucet, and he happens to know how to fix it. In fact, it's an easy fix according to him. What? So he runs to his car, grabs some tools, and now you don't mind that he's dripping rainwater all over your floor because he fixes your faucet and he gets it to work like it's brand spanking new. No more dripping faucet. You got what you wanted and you got it for free through no effort of your own other than being at home to answer the door when that person from work happened to drop by to ask you for a favor that you happened to be able to accommodate. You could believe that all of it was just a coincidence, or you could believe you imagined a properly working faucet into being simply by imagining it through the power of your own creativity and your practice of simply choosing what you prefer. What you believe is up to you. I invite you every once in a while to ask yourself what you believe in. Ask yourself what you prefer and what you are creating with your imagination, because you are creating something in each and every moment, whether you are aware you are doing it or not. You have the power to create things, whether you believe you do or not. Is there value in believing in things for which you have no evidence? Is there value in believing in things you cannot prove, or isn't there? If you are still here and if you are still listening, then my guess is that your answer to that question is yes. I'm going to go out on a limb and guess, because although I have no evidence for it, that is what I prefer. That is what I imagine. Is that any big surprise given what I've been talking about for the entire duration of this video?